Hi y'all, Tron McCracken again, and see Zeus in the background there. He didn't want to sit right by me for the video, but he's there. Anyway, um, I wanted to talk for a few minutes about setting boundaries and respecting people during this election season. Um, and this isn't meant to be a political statement on any candidate. This is more about, again, setting boundaries, respecting people, so on. And this does tie into mental health because uh, I'm sure I'm not the only person that's having a really difficult time in this election season. Just because, well, not just because, but partly because we're so disappointed in this selection of candidates. But along with that, the way people treat anyone who doesn't just jump on board the party line full fledged. I'll start by sharing a couple stories about my mom and my best friend James, both of whom I was very close to, both of whom I had enormous respect and love for. We didn't always agree on politics. Mom and I didn't always agree on politics. We probably did 2/3 of the time, maybe a little more than that, 3/4 of the time. But there were a few times we voted for different presidential candidates, different senators, different local people. Same with James. There were also times that they wouldn't tell me who they voted for. And I accepted. I pressed it a little bit. I said, "Oh, come on, just tell me." They didn't want to because I know at least with my mom's generation, she was born in 1928. Voting was considered a very private, personal decision, and of course, it's their option whether to tell people or not. Sometimes she did tell me. But it's a very private, personal thing. I think that's the key thing I'm getting at here. A little bit like religion, probably a lot like religion. It's a very private, personal thing. And people have their own reasons for doing it. And like I said, sometimes James wouldn't tell me who he voted for. I mean, we were soul brothers. And I had to just kind of accept that. Also, we would have huge arguments sometimes about politics. And sometimes we would even be cussing at each other and stuff, but cussing at each other it wasn't personal between us. That was no big deal, but the bottom line being they had their own reasons for voting for other people. My mom usually voted Democrat, but sometimes she would vote Republican. Ditto for James. A lot of times James voted third party. And he had his own set of reasons for doing that. And what is really bothering me about this election season, and before this actually, is the complete intolerance for anyone who doesn't just jump right on board the party line. Even if someone has the gall to ask, well, what are his policies or what are her policies? And the response is this, well, if you have to ask that, I guess you're voting for Trump. Yeah. Just ugliness. And that's what I see on both sides. In fact, the Trump supporters have been a lot nicer to me, have been far nicer to me regarding that than Biden supporters. That's anecdotal evidence, but I'm just telling you what I've experienced. That's anecdotal evidence. A lot of people don't know. I've already set my boundaries. Just about everyone that has engaged in vote shaming, I'm not even engaging with until at least after the election, maybe after that. And doesn't have anything to do with politics. It has to do with their behavior towards me, their intolerance towards me. And it's one thing to debate, that's fine. Debate policies all day long, debate policies all year long, because we all have our own needs, our own set of core values, our own worldviews. So we can debate policies like James and I. It was even though we throw in some cuss words and everything, it was debating policies and issues, and it was from our own views, because as much as we had similar worldviews, very similar worldviews, basically at heart we were both nihilists. So honestly, to get us to vote for anyone was difficult. Most of the time we did. Sometimes major parties. I think that not everyone, but I think people need to take a step back and look at or realize that everyone has their own core values, their own worldviews. And as long as it doesn't espouse violence, now that's the cutoff point for me and a lot of people. If you're espousing violence, then you don't have a legitimate view or opinion. But anything short of that, people have their own reasons. Like for me, number one, far above all else, is universal health care, because it is a fundamental human right. And I nearly died trying to get therapy for my mental health problems. I nearly died trying to find that with no money and no insurance. And I'm sure there's been a lot of people who have died while they were trying to navigate that with no money, no insurance. It's difficult enough for someone to have those issues, but then throw in there that you don't have money or insurance. Just few people. Limit your choices. There are options. I just kind of lucked out. A friend of a friend of a friend referred me to the center, and everything worked out. I don't want anyone to have to repeat that. So, bottom line, please respect people's boundaries and realize that different people in different families, different income levels, etc., they have their own reasons for doing these things. Again, the difference is if someone is espousing hate and violence, that's different. But short of that, because it's disappointing and demoralizing. Just that it's become a sport in America now to shame people, and the biggest thing about that is you don't win any votes by doing that. You don't win any votes for your candidate. Absolutely zero. And there is plenty of proof of that. So, stick to the issues. And again, please respect people's core beliefs. Their core beliefs, their worldview is probably going to be different than yours. No matter how much you like them, no matter how much you love them, it's probably going to be different than yours. So, I'm just trying to navigate through this, and a lot of people are already struggling because of the pandemic and all the shutdowns, and we're in a Great Depression. We're in a new Great Depression, whether people realize it or not. We are, and it's hard enough navigating that without added stress. And there's a lot of people hurting out there, a lot of people having a tough time, and a lot of us are just trying to navigate through this election regardless of who wins. We're just trying to peacefully navigate through it without losing our minds. And it does not help when people who we really like and care about do this voter shaming stuff. I'm gonna shame the voter shaming. Y'all gotta drop that. It goes nowhere. It's insulting. It's degrading. It goes nowhere. It doesn't win you any voters at all. Absolutely zero out of however many million, 100 million or so people who don't vote. It's not going to win you any of them. All right. Bottom line, though, let's try to respect other people's core beliefs. All right. Hope everyone's doing well. Having said all that, having vented, I don't mean any of that in a hateful way. I hope everyone's hanging in there, and we can get through this. All right. Thank you.